The security guard looked me over like I had wandered in from the wrong life. His eyes paused on my worn sneakers, lingered on my old college sweatshirt, and settled into a thin smile that wasn't friendly. "This entrance is for guests," he said, stepping sideways to block the door. "I am a guest," I replied. "I'm here for the Sterling Caldwell engagement party." His radio crackled. He didn't move. "Service entrance is around the corner," he said, pointing without looking at me. "Staff knows better." I opened my mouth to correct him, then closed it. Something in his tone told me the conversation was already over. The entire content of the video is a fictional work created by the writing team of the Family Afterlight channel, intended to reflect common conflicts in families and society, helping viewers recognize their emotions and choose a more positive way of living. I nodded once and turned, my footsteps echoing against the stone. I could have shown him my identification. I could have made a call that would have ended the misunderstanding in seconds. Instead, I walked. "Behind me," he said, almost kindly. "Happens all the time." I believed him. The service corridor smelled like polish and cold air. As I rounded the corner, heels clicked fast across the pavement, Vanessa's heels. She always walked like she was late to something important. "Noah," she said, breathless. "What are you doing back here?" The guard straightened. I redirected her. He said, "Delivery was trying to use the main entrance." Vanessa laughed, quick and bright. "Oh, that makes sense." She didn't look at me when she said it. She waved a manicured hand, already turning away. "They always get mixed up." She told him, "Thank you for handling it." I said her name once. "Vanessa." She finally glanced at me, eyes flicking from my face to my shoes. Her smile tightened. "Please don't make this difficult," she said quietly. "Ethan's family is already watching everything." "I wasn't trying to cause a scene," she exhaled sharply. "Then don't. Just use the other door." The guard nodded, satisfied. Power settled back into place like a lock clicking shut. Vanessa leaned closer. "We talked about this," she whispered. "This is not the night to bring up your tech stuff. It's my sister's engagement." I said, "I came to support you." "I know," she said, already distracted. "Just try to blend in, blend in." The words landed heavier than she intended, or maybe exactly as she intended. She turned away, heels tapping back toward the glow of the ballroom. The guard watched her go, then glanced at me again, uncertain now. "Side door's unlocked," he said. "You'll find the kitchen straight ahead." I thanked him. He seemed surprised by that. As I pushed the service door open, I felt something steady settle in my chest. I wasn't angry yet. I was attentive. There is a difference, and it matters. If you are still listening, stay with me. What happens next only makes sense if you see how quietly it began. The door swung shut behind me. The noise of the party disappeared. I stepped forward, unseen, and let the evening show me exactly who everyone believed I was. The kitchen door hadn't even closed behind me when I heard Vanessa's voice again, sharper this time. "Can someone please explain why the champagne isn't chilled yet?" A server murmured an apology. Another promised to check. Vanessa sighed, loud enough to be heard, the kind of sigh meant to remind everyone who mattered. I stayed where I was, half hidden behind a prep table, watching her from the edge of the room. She didn't see me, or maybe she did, and chose not to. One of the catering managers leaned toward her. "We're running on schedule," he said. "Dinner service will begin at the planned time." "That's not what we agreed on," Vanessa snapped. "I sent an email." He nodded carefully. "You sent 3. Her jaw tightened. "Then pick the last one." The last one returned to the original time. He said. She looked at him like he'd betrayed her personally. "Fine," she said. "But if Ethan's mother complains, that's on you." She turned, nearly colliding with me. For a second, I thought she might actually recognize me. Her eyes met mine, flicked past, then back again. "Oh," she said, "you." Her voice dropped. "Why are you in here?" "They sent me this way," I said. She glanced around. The room was listening. "Try not to be in the way," she said. "Tonight is important. It's important to me, too." She laughed under her breath. "Noah, please, this isn't about you." That line wasn't new. It was old enough to have grooves. A young server whispered to another, not quietly enough. "Is that her sister Vanessa heard?" She didn't correct them. Instead, she said, "Can someone show her where she's supposed to be?" The catering manager hesitated. "She's with you." Vanessa smiled tightly. "Not exactly." The words settled like a verdict. The manager nodded and gestured toward the prep station. "We could use help with plating," he said. I took a step forward before Vanessa could say anything else. As I passed her, I said, "You could have told them." She didn't look at me. I didn't want to complicate things. You didn't want to be associated with me. She finally met my eyes. There was something close to panic there. "You don't understand what it's like," she said. "Ethan's family expects a certain image, and I ruin it." She opened her mouth, then closed it. "Just, please don't talk about work," she said. "They don't get online platforms. They'll think you're unemployed." I nodded. Wouldn't want that. Her shoulders relaxed, as if she'd won something. She turned back to the room, already issuing new instructions, already moving on. Behind me, someone handed me an apron. "Thanks for jumping in," a server said. "Long night ahead." I tied the apron around my waist and stepped into place. From behind the line, I watched my sister glide back toward the light, confident that the problem had been managed. For the first time that evening, I felt something sharper than embarrassment. I felt clarity. Careful with those. A woman beside me said, sliding a tray closer, "If she sees uneven spacing, she'll send the whole thing back." "Who's she?" I asked, though I already knew. The woman snorted. "The bride, or the bride-to-be. Same difference tonight." I adjusted the plates the way she showed me. My hands knew how to stay calm even when my chest didn't. "She's been like this for weeks," another server added, lowering his voice. "Changed the seating chart 4 times today alone." She cried when the flowers arrived. Someone else said from behind us. Said they looked cheap. They were flown in. The woman beside me said, "From another country." "And still not good enough," he replied. Vanessa's voice cut through the room again. "Why are these napkins folded this way?" A coordinator answered carefully. "That's the fold you approved yesterday. I approved the other one," Vanessa said. "The one that looks more elevated. You approved that one first," the coordinator said, then changed it back. Vanessa's smile didn't reach her eyes. "I need you to fix it." I watched the coordinator nod. Not because he agreed, but because resistance cost more than compliance. A dishwasher leaned toward me. "You're her sister, right?" "Yes." He shook his head. "She doesn't talk about you much." "Does she talk about anyone kindly?" I asked. He hesitated. "She talks about the Caldwells like they're royalty." That name followed me all evening. "They've got money," a server said, joining the conversation. "Or at least they want people to think they do." The mother came in earlier. Another added, walked the room like she owned it. She said their family built tech empires before it was fashionable. The dishwasher said, name-dropped half of Silicon Valley. "Funny thing," the woman beside me said. She asked if we offered payment plans. That made me pause. "For what?" "For the event," she said. Said cash flow was tight this quarter. Across the room, Vanessa stood near the doorway. Posture perfect. Laugh rehearsed. She caught my eye for half a second, then looked away. I knew that look. It meant she'd seen me, and decided not to. A server rushed past with a tray. "Heads up," he muttered. "Mother-in-law incoming." Marjorie Caldwell entered like a performance. Vanessa straightened instantly. "Everything looks lovely," Marjorie said, scanning the room. Though I did expect something a bit more refined. Vanessa laughed too loudly. Of course. If there's anything you'd like changed, Marjorie waved her off. I'm sure you'll manage. As they walked away together, I heard Marjorie add, We'll need to talk later about family contributions. These things tend to add up. Vanessa nodded. My family understands. I felt something twist then. Not anger. Recognition. I looked down at my hands, steady as ever, placing plates no one noticed. Around me, the staff moved with practiced efficiency, absorbing pressure that didn't belong to them. Behind the scenes, the illusion of perfection was cracking, and everyone felt it, whether they had words for it or not. I told the coordinator I needed a moment and slipped out before anyone could stop me. The service elevator doors closed with a soft thud, muting the noise from below. My reflection stared back at me from the brushed metal wall, apron still tied, hair pulled back, expression unreadable. The elevator stopped one floor above the ballroom. The doors opened onto quiet. I stepped out and walked straight to the glass door at the end of the hall. I pressed my thumb to the scanner. It unlocked immediately. Inside, my assistant's voice came through my phone before I could even set my bag down. You're early, she said. Do you need anything? I need eyes, I said. Pull up the ballroom feeds. Already on, she replied. We flagged something odd. I crossed the room to the monitors. Vanessa and I filled the frame for a second as she laughed at something Marjorie Caldwell said. Then the camera shifted. There, my assistant said. Pause. Marjorie stood near the bar, angled just enough to block the view of the staff behind her. A man in a black polo leaned in. She handed him something small. He nodded too quickly. Who is that, I asked. Freelance audio-visual technician. My assistant said. Brought in by the Caldwells. What did she give him, Cash? She said. Folded. Not subtle. I exhaled slowly. Do not intervene yet. There was a pause. Are you sure? Yes, I said. Just observe. She hesitated. Noah, if this turns into a liability, I know, I said. That's why I want everything recorded. I hung up and turned back to the screens. The party looked different from up here. Less impressive. More desperate. I watched Vanessa nod too often, laugh too quickly. I saw Blake Caldwell corner a server near the edge of the room, leaning too close, smiling like the rules didn't apply to him. 3 years earlier, I had been sitting in a cramped apartment, refreshing error logs on a booking platform no one believed in. I had signed my first loan with hands that shook, convinced one wrong decision would end everything. That platform scaled faster than I ever expected. I reinvested. I bought one struggling property, then another. Quietly. Aurelia Hospitality did not need my name on the walls. It needed my attention. From this floor, I could see patterns people missed when they were busy performing. The Caldwells weren't confident. They were frantic. Every gesture overcompensated. Every smile asked for something. My phone buzzed again. Payment check-in. My assistant said, Event billing is still pending confirmation. Let me know if it changes. I said. I untied the apron and folded it carefully over the chair. For a moment, I stayed where I was, watching the room below spin in its careful choreography. Then I picked the apron back up and tied it again. Whatever was unfolding downstairs wasn't finished revealing itself. And I wasn't done listening. I slipped back into the ballroom with a tray balanced on my palm, my shoulders settling into the posture people expect from someone they do not intend to notice. The noise pressed in immediately. Laughter, clinking glasses, the low hum of expensive confidence. Marjorie Caldwell stood near the center of it all, one hand resting possessively on Vanessa's arm. You'll find, Marjorie was saying, that family alignment matters more than love in the long run. Vanessa smiled. Of course, my family believes the same. I paused just long enough to hear it. The words landed like an uninvited promise. Blake Caldwell drifted toward me as I passed the bar. He took a glass from my tray without asking. "You working all night?" he asked, eyes scanning me like inventory. "Yes," I said. He leaned closer. "That's a shame. You look like someone who deserves better opportunities." "I'm fine," I said, already stepping back. He laughed softly. Everyone says that before they realize they don't have to be. He slid something onto the tray, folded thick. "If you want real money, come find me later." I kept my face neutral. "I'll let the coordinator know you need something." His smile faltered. "Relax. It's a compliment." I moved away before he could say more. Behind me, I heard him scoff, already rewriting the interaction in his head. Near the service station, 2 servers whispered urgently. "She's asking again." One said, "Asking what, if the family's contribution is finalized?" The other replied, "Said the Caldwells are making decisions based on it." I set my tray down and pulled my phone from my pocket. "Call me." I texted my chief financial officer. "Now." He answered on the second ring. "You're at the event." "Yes, I need a snapshot." "The Caldwell family, personal holdings." There was a pause, then the sound of keys. "Give me a minute." I watched the room while I waited. Marjorie laughed too loudly at something her husband said. Vanessa mirrored her expression a half-second late. Ethan stood beside them, quiet, eyes fixed on the floor. My phone vibrated. They're leveraged to the hilt. My chief financial officer said, "Multiple limited liability companies dissolved. Primary residence has 3 outstanding loans, 90 days from foreclosure." I closed my eyes briefly. Any liquid assets, none worth mentioning. Credit lines are maxed. They're moving money just to appear solvent. I looked up as Marjorie gestured sharply toward the sound booth. The same freelance technician from earlier nodded, glancing around before following her instructions. "They're desperate," I said. "Yes," he replied. "And bold." I ended the call and moved closer to the booth, close enough to hear Marjorie's voice drop. "This needs to play during the speeches," she said. "Right after she finishes." The technician hesitated. "Are you sure the bride approved this?" Marjorie smiled tightly. "She trusts me." I stepped back before they noticed me. Across the room, Vanessa took the microphone, tapping it lightly. "Everyone," she said, voice bright, "thank you for being here tonight." Applause rippled through the crowd. She glanced toward the bar, then toward the room, searching. Her eyes passed over me without recognition. "And I want to say," she continued, "how grateful I am that our families are coming together." I felt the weight of it then, not just the lie, but the risk she was walking into with her eyes open. I sent one message to my operations director. "Copy whatever is queued for playback." I typed, and locked the system. The reply came back almost instantly. "Done." I picked up my tray again and re-entered the flow of the room. Something had shifted. The smiles felt thinner. The laughter came too fast. Whatever Marjorie had planned was no longer a question of if. It was a matter of timing. I was halfway across the room when I saw Michael Reyes at the entrance. He wasn't dressed for a party, no glass in his hand, no forced smile. He stood with a leather folder pressed against his side, scanning faces with the focus of someone who didn't want to be noticed and absolutely had to be. Our eyes met. He didn't approach. "Not yet." Vanessa's voice rose above the music. If everyone could take their seats for just a moment. Chairs shifted, conversations tapered off. The band lowered their instruments. Michael stepped forward then, weaving through the tables with practiced ease. He stopped at the head table. "Ms. Sterling," he said quietly. Vanessa stood immediately. "Yes. Hi. I'm so sorry. Is something wrong?" Michael's expression didn't change. "I need to speak with Ms. Sterling regarding an urgent payment issue." Vanessa smiled, relief flashing across her face. "Of course. That's me." He didn't move. His gaze slid past her. I felt it before anyone else did. The subtle tilt of attention. The silence stretching just a beat too long. Michael turned and walked straight toward me. I set my tray down. "Ms. Sterling," he said, his voice steady. "The engagement event payment in the amount of $68,750 has been returned for insufficient funds." The words hit the room like a dropped plate. Vanessa laughed, high and brittle. "This isn't funny," she said. "Noah, what are you doing?" Michael didn't look at her. "We require authorization on how you'd like to proceed." Marjorie Caldwell rose halfway from her chair. "This is absurd," she said. "There must be a mistake." Michael opened the folder. The check was processed twice. Both attempts failed. Ethan finally spoke. "Mother." She cut him off. "This is highly inappropriate." I lifted my hands slightly, palms open. "Michael, could you give me 20 minutes before escalating this?" He hesitated. "We have contractual obligations." "I understand." I said, "I take responsibility." The room watched us. Vanessa's face shifted from confusion to something closer to fear, responsibility for what she asked. I turned to her then. "For the evening." She shook her head. "You're embarrassing me." Before I could answer, Vanessa turned back to the crowd, grabbing the microphone with both hands. "My sister is being dramatic," she said quickly. "Please don't mind her. She's very imaginative." Laughter scattered. "Unsure. And actually," she added, forcing brightness into her voice, "my sister is incredibly successful, a private investor. She's here tonight because she wanted to observe before making an announcement later." Every eye in the room landed on me. Michael glanced down at the folder, then back up. "Is that accurate?" I held Vanessa's gaze. She was smiling, begging me without words to go along with it. "Yes," I said calmly. "I am here to observe." Michael nodded once. "Then I'll return in 20 minutes. He stepped away. The band resumed, too loudly. Conversations tried to restart. Vanessa leaned toward me, her voice shaking. "Why would you let him say that I met her eyes?" "Because it's already been said." She turned away, breathing hard. Across the room, Marjorie Caldwell watched me with new interest, her smile gone entirely. The clock had started. Michael returned exactly when he said he would. Not a minute early. Not a minute late. That alone shifted the room again. He didn't go to the head table this time. He walked to the center of the floor and stopped beside me. "Ms. Sterling," he said, loud enough to carry. "We need a final decision." Vanessa was already standing. "This has gone far enough," she said, voice trembling. "You're letting her turn my engagement into a joke." Michael glanced at her briefly, then back to me. I untied the apron slowly. The knot gave way in my hands. I folded the fabric once, then twice, and placed it on the tray. "I'll make this simple," I said. The room quieted in a way that couldn't be rehearsed. "My name is Noah Sterling," I continued. "I am the managing owner of this property." Someone inhaled sharply. A chair scraped. A glass tipped and spilled. Marjorie Caldwell laughed once, sharp and disbelieving. "That's absurd." Michael opened the folder and turned it so the nearest tables could see. "Ms. Sterling is also the principal of Aurelia Hospitality Group. This location is part of her portfolio." Vanessa stared at me like the language had changed mid-sentence. "You said you worked in tech." "I do," I said. "That's how I bought my first hotel." Marjorie stepped forward. "You expect us to believe this?" she demanded. "She was carrying plates 10 minutes ago." I met her eyes. "I wanted to see how your family treated people who couldn't give you anything." The words landed harder than I intended, or maybe exactly as they needed to. Michael spoke again. There was also an attempted interference with the audio-visual system. The file was queued without authorization. Marjorie's lips pressed into a thin line. I was arranging a surprise. It was an edited recording designed to humiliate the bride. Michael said evenly, "We have the original and the altered versions." Ethan looked between his mother and me. "Mom," he said quietly, "what did you do?" She turned on him. "I was protecting you." "No," he said. "You were protecting yourself." Blake Caldwell shifted near the bar. "This is getting ridiculous," he muttered. I looked at him. "You offered one of my staff money for access." His face flushed. I'm not finishing that sentence," I said. Silence followed. Heavy, unavoidable. I turned back to Michael. "The payment failed," I said. "Not because of a mistake, because the funds aren't there." Michael nodded. "Correct." Marjorie's voice dropped. "You don't understand our situation." "I do," I said. "Your family is 90 days from losing your primary residence. Your credit lines are exhausted. This engagement was meant to buy time." Gasps rippled outward. Vanessa's hand flew to her mouth. "Is that true?" Ethan didn't answer immediately. Then he said, "Yes." She looked at him. "You knew I didn't know how bad," he said. "But I knew." I took a breath. "This ends now." I turned slightly so everyone could hear me. "There are two options. 1. We involve legal authorities for attempted fraud and theft of services. 2. The Caldwell family leaves quietly tonight." Marjorie's shoulders sagged. "Just a fraction. And the bill I will cover the cost of the event," I said. "As a gift to my sister." Vanessa looked at me then. Really looked at me. The anger drained first, then the disbelief. What remained was something raw. Ethan stood. "We're leaving," he said. "All of us." Marjorie opened her mouth, then closed it. She picked up her purse with shaking hands. As they moved toward the exit, the room parted instinctively. No applause, no whispers, just space. When the doors closed behind them, Michael exhaled quietly. The room didn't erupt. It didn't need to. Everyone already knew exactly what had changed. The ballroom emptied slowly, like a held breath being released. Staff moved quietly. Clearing glasses no one had finished, Michael spoke to the coordinator in low tones, already restoring order. No one approached me. Not yet. Vanessa sat alone at the head table, shoulders folded inward, hands clenched in her lap. I walked toward her without announcing myself. She didn't look up. "You could have warned me." "I tried," I said, more than once. She swallowed. "You never said it like that." "I said it the only way you would hear," I replied. She laughed once. "Broken." I didn't want to hear it. I pulled out the chair across from her and sat. For a moment, neither of us spoke. "They made me feel small," she said finally. "From the first dinner, from the first look." Her voice shook. "I kept thinking if I just did everything right, they'd respect me. They don't respect anyone," I said. "They measure usefulness." She wiped her face with the back of her hand. "And I did the same to you." The words hung between us. "You treated me like an inconvenience," I said. "Like I embarrassed you." Her eyes filled. "Because you reminded me that I might be wrong about myself." I let that land. "I built everything around being impressive." She continued, "Being chosen, being admired." She shook her head. "You didn't need any of that. And instead of asking how, I decided you must be doing something less." I leaned back slightly. "You didn't want to see me because it meant looking at yourself." She nodded, tears spilling freely now. "I didn't want to be the sister who needed help. I didn't need admiration," I said quietly. "I needed honesty." She reached across the table, hesitating before her fingers touched mine. "I'm sorry," she said. "Not because tonight was humiliating, because I chose status over you. I closed my hand around hers. If you had asked, I said, I would have helped, without conditions. She broke then, leaning forward, pressing her forehead to our joined hands. I know. Footsteps approached. Ethan stopped a few feet away, uncertain. I'm leaving with them, he said softly, but not for long. Vanessa looked up. I don't want their money, she said, or their protection. He nodded. Neither do I. He glanced at me. Thank you for stopping this. I met his gaze. Take care of her. When he left, Vanessa straightened slowly. Her voice was hoarse but steady. I don't want to pretend anymore, she said. I stood. Then don't. We remained there as the last of the staff finished their work. The music had long since stopped. What was left was quieter, heavier, and real. 3 months later, Vanessa stood in my office wearing a housekeeping uniform and holding a clipboard like it mattered. I'm late, she said. The linen inventory ran long. You're early, I corrected. You just don't know it yet. She smiled, tired and genuine. I apologized to every person I yelled at that night. I know. I said. They noticed. Ethan started the following week in accounting. He came by once, awkward, holding a coffee like a peace offering. I'm good with numbers, he said. I just never had to be. You do now. I replied. He nodded, grateful for the honesty. The wedding happened a year later. No ballroom, no band, just close friends, family, and the service courtyard behind the hotel. Vanessa insisted on walking in through the same entrance she once avoided. This is where I learned who I was, she said quietly, straightening her dress. Not who I wanted people to think I was. I took her arm. Then it's the right place to begin. Michael watched from a distance, respectful as ever. The staff who had worked that night stood nearby, not as employees, but as witnesses. Vanessa caught my eye before the ceremony started. Thank you for not humiliating me, she said. Thank you for listening. I replied, later. As people laughed and spoke freely, Vanessa leaned over and whispered, if you're still here, watching this story unfold, stay with us. Share where you're listening from. Someone else might need to hear this. I smiled at her choice of words. As the evening settled, she raised her glass once more. To starting from the bottom, she said, and to the people who wait quietly until you're ready to see them. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. Some entrances are meant to be avoided. Others are meant to be remembered.